It is Sunday, December the 10th. I'm Alec Velshi. We begin this hour with the Republican Party's slow march into autocracy, led by the one-day-only dictator wannabe, Donald Trump. In a speech last night at a gala for the New York Young Republicans Club, the GOP frontrunner did not back down from his comment last week that he would only be a dictator on day one of a possible second term in office. Instead, he doubled down.
Baker today in the New York Times, he said that I want to be a dictator. I didn't say that. I said I want to be a dictator for one day. But the New York Times said, and you know why I wanted to be a dictator? Because I want a wall, right? I want a wall, and I want to drill, drill, drill.
Now, there's no reason to believe Donald Trump when he says, there's no reason not to believe Donald Trump when he says he wants to be a dictator. What is unbelievable is that Trump, who's not exactly known for his restraint or his self-discipline, would actually stop after day one. It's a significant and disturbing escalation of rhetoric. It's just rhetoric, but it is an escalation for him because of how bluntly and openly he's telling the country about autocratic plans for a second term. During last night's speech, Trump also issued a thinly veiled warning to President Biden, saying that the criminal indictments against Trump have, quote, opened up a Pandora's box that may never let our country be the same, end quote. Trump's most subservient allies are also falling into line, picking up on the themes of retribution. At the end of last month, Robert Kagan, an editor-at-large for The Washington Post, published a lengthy piece warning about the increasing inevitability of a Trump dictatorship. In response to Kagan's piece, the Republican Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio sent a letter addressed to Attorney General Merrick Garland and the Secretary of State Antony Blinken seeking an investigation into Kagan, a journalist. Vance, by the way, is now one of the names being considered as Trump's running mate as vice president, according to a recent report by Axios. Kagan, by the way, the journalist, isn't the only one warning about the erosion of a democracy in America. The former Congresswoman, Liz Cheney, has offered a lot of sharp criticisms about how America is, quote, sleepwalking into a dictatorship. But Cheney isn't just warning about Trump. She's concerned about her entire party's growing subordination to him. She even went as far as to say, quote, it's so important that the Republicans not be in the majority in 2025, which is a pretty remarkable statement from someone who is a senior member of House Republican leadership. But Cheney understands this firsthand. She lost her re-election primary last year to a Trump-backed candidate, a common story for many moderate and anti-Trump Republicans as the GOP continues its march to the right. It's part of what's fueling the dysfunction and deadlock that we've witnessed in Congress this year, which has resulted in a lack of meaningful action on several fronts. On Wednesday, Senate Republicans blocked a procedural vote for a crucial aid package for Ukraine and Israel after talks broke down over border security policy, an issue that Trump and the GOP have been trying to leverage in negotiations. Meanwhile, yesterday, the Biden administration bypassed congressional approval and pushed through an emergency arms sale of 14,000 tank shells to Israel, worth about $106 million. That move came, by the way, just hours after the United States vetoed a UN resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza as the humanitarian situation there worsened.